Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Tanks with the mighty Jingles. That's right, it's time for tanks, and this is Sentinel 98 in the E100. Also, sometimes referred to, although mostly by me, as the Heat 100, because that's all anybody ever seems to fire when they're driving the bloody thing, which I have to admit I do find amusing when I get into a tier 10 battle in something with very little or no armour, and the E100s on the enemy team are just rolling their faces all over their 2 key and spamming gold at me, because you don't need to do it. I admit that there are certain vehicles in World of Tanks, the E100 is one, the T54 is another one, that do seem as if they're designed to encourage and promote the use of premium ammunition. In the case of the T54, it's because you've basically got 2 guns available on it. There's more than 2, but there's only 2 that you're ever going to have to choose between. One of which has excellent gun handling characteristics but low penetration, and the other has better penetration. It's still not fantastic, but terrible gun handling. So of course all everybody does is they equip the gun with the better gun handling and just press the 2 key to solve the penetration problem. With the E100 it's similar but different. Again, you have a choice of 2 guns on this tank, a 128mm gun with very good accuracy and pretty good penetration, and a 150mm gun that does a monstrous 750 alpha damage but is horribly inaccurate, has a long aiming time, and only has 235mm of penetration. So of course what everybody does in the E100 is they pick the 150mm gun and they solve the penetration problem by rolling their face all over their keyboard until they sooner or later press the 2 key. I don't do that when I'm in my E100. And the reason I don't do it isn't because I'm fundamentally opposed to the use of premium ammunition. I mean, I am, but it's in the game, so I'm going to use it when I have to. But the key word there is when you have to. Sentinel 98 here appears to agree with me. You can see that he does have premium ammunition on this tank. He's also got a large stock of high explosive and plenty of armour-piercing ammunition. He's going to finish this game without ever firing a single shot of high explosive anti-tank premium ammunition, because he never needs to use it. You see, if you're not one of those players, and there are many of them, who just hammer the 2 key while they're waiting for the mission countdown to start at the beginning of a random battle and then never look back until they've run out of credits, well, what I'm going to say is pretty much wasted on you. But if, on the other hand, you are the kind of E100 player who does not by default just load the gold, and yet you still find yourself in situations where you feel as if you have to load the premium ammunition, you're probably playing the tank wrong. This is not a sniper. You see, one of the explanations that I often hear offered to account for why people fire so much premium ammunition in their E100s is because of the low penetration and bad accuracy of the gun with regular armor-piercing ammunition. And people will often say, well, at the kind of ranges where I'm engaging targets, I just don't have the accuracy to hit a weak spot, and if I don't hit a weak spot, I don't have the penetration to get through the armour, so I have to fire premium ammunition. Well, you're not supposed to be shooting at them from the other side of the map. You're in an E100. Get in close. This tank should be played close enough to the enemy that the lack of accuracy is not going to matter. Like me, Sentinel 98 does carry some premium ammunition in his E100, but unlike a lot of E100 players, with the 150mm gun, he has not yet felt the need to use it. He's doing damage with the armour piercing, but in order to do damage with the armour piercing, which does only have 235mm of penetration, you have to know what you're doing. You have to get this tank close enough that you can do damage with the armour piercing, and that means you have to know how to angle your armour, you have to know where to shoot, and you have to know when to shoot. You have to think about what you're doing, rather than just headbutt the 2 key and auto-aim. And that's hard. People don't like things when they're hard. They like things to be easy. And yet, well, as I hope Sentinel is demonstrating here, the alternative isn't that difficult either. That's nearly 5,000 damage done with 6 shots fired, and all 6 of those shots were armour-piercing. It can be done. You just have to think about what you're doing. Now, I'm obviously not saying that you should never load the gold on the E100. There are obviously going to be circumstances where you have no choice if you want to survive and kill the tank that you're facing. But it shouldn't necessarily be the default ammunition choice. Meanwhile, here on the Abbey map, Sentinel is turning the tank around and he's heading back to base, and if you have a look at the minimap, you can see exactly why. Sentinel and the rest of his team have completely crushed all opposition on this side of the map, which included half a dozen tier 10 heavy tanks, but on the other side of the map, the enemy team have pretty much done exactly the same thing to Sentinel's team, and there are a whole bunch of enemy tanks just poised and ready to roll right into the base. Sentinel's team, however, in the shape of another E100 and an IS-4, are poised to do exactly the same thing and roll into the enemy base. So what Sentinel is expecting to see here is a sort of complete reverse of what's happening on the other side of the map, with just a couple of enemy tanks rolling into the base and more than half of the remaining tanks on the team heading south to intercept them. It's going to be a turkey shoot. Unfortunately, that is not what is actually happening. Very unfortunate for the IS-4 and the E100, who have continued north to cap the enemy base, because what the enemy team are doing is ignoring Sentinel's base, and they're all heading back to defend their cap. And the IS-4 on the team has just discovered that one the hard way, as he got himself blown away in the cap circle by the surviving E100 on the enemy team. Sentinel, with an itchy trigger finger, he's looking for targets in his cap circle, but there's nobody there. The IS-7 would have spotted somebody by now. If there was anybody in the cap circle, the capture alarm would have been going off, but nope, nothing. That did actually bounce off a bat chat. I don't know if it hit his gun or if it just skipped off the upper glacis as he was pulling back and flattening the angle, but yeah. It's not the last time he's going to have problems with that bat chat, by the way. That guy, well, was it luck, or did he realise he'd been spotted and he thought, I'm getting the hell out of here? Time will tell. Meanwhile, the scores are, well, I've seen worse. They're only behind by 2 kills, and Sentinel still has almost all of his health, and if he needs it, he still has 10 rounds of premium ammunition to fire. Spoiler alert, he's not going to need it. But while the number of tanks remaining on each team are not too different, the tactical situation is less than ideal, because Sentinel's team is both outnumbered and split up. So the team is both low on firepower, and it can't concentrate that firepower effectively. So rather than take the route around to the right-hand side of the monastery, the same way that the Type 5 Heavy is going, he takes the route along to the left-hand side. Does that for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, he got spotted driving around to the right, and there are 3 very nasty tank destroyers still unaccounted for on the enemy team. Also, if you take this road, well, he doesn't have to worry about getting shot in the left flank because his team controls that end. He doesn't have to worry about getting shot in the right flank because there's a monastery in the way. And he's got his frontal armour pointed towards any likely threat. And there's that bat chat again. And yep, that's right. I told you. What can you do? Oh, T110E4. Well, there's one of the tank destroyers. Oh crap, there's another one. The S-tank. He's been hit by the Leopard. But he pumps one into the S-tank. And the S-tank is a very dangerous machine under the right circumstances, but it does not have a huge amount of health. Does that E4 even know he's here? Do you know what I mean? Hello, I'm behind you. You can't turn your turret all the way around, can you? Yeah, he's done. He's done. He's not going to survive this. Then again, the Type 5 Heavy could probably use a little bit of help. So Sentinel does what he can, takes out the E4, but the Type 5 has lost almost all of his health, continuing, while spotted, down the right-hand side of the monastery. Takes a hit from the enemy Leopard, but he's now falling back to reload, and this is going to give him the opportunity to finish off that E100 who killed the IS-4 earlier. Regular armour piercing, lower glacis of the E100. It really wasn't angled, no problem whatsoever. At this point, however, Sentinel is what can best be described as in the shit. The Type 5 Heavy is down, taken out by the 113, who's got some overwatch fire going on there from his position in the enemy cap circle. And that 113 has basically got Sentinel pinned in this cluster of buildings as he keeps getting spotted by something, not entirely sure what. IS-4's just popped up behind him, but he's going to be a much more immediate danger to the Leopard. And, yep, there are the shots from the 113. So he took some damage there. pulls back behind the building. Gorilla 15 appears in front of him. Sentinel immediately goes to brown alert, fires, misses, takes another hit from the 113, but the 750 alpha damage shot from the Gorilla 15 by some miracle ricochets off the side of his turret. Leopard comes around the corner trying to steal a kill. Sentinel's ass gets saved by the Batchat driver. In the meantime, however, while that was going on, the IS-4 has appeared on the other side of the monastery and killed the Leopard. But Sentinel is far from out of the shit, because he's now a one-shot kill for that Gorilla 15, who can penetrate the front of his turret and has the alpha damage to take him out in one shot. The Gorilla 15 still had all of his 1800 health. He can afford to take a hit from Sentinel's gun. So Sentinel is just sitting here, pinned down by the 113, waiting for the Gorilla 15 to resurface. And he's begging the Batchat for help with spotting that 113, but the Batchat has other ideas. He's heading south, because he's going for the IS-4. And the Gorilla 15's back there as well. What the hell? Okay, well, that changes things. The Batchat's taken the IS-4 out, so now it's 2 versus 2, and the 113 is still probably in the same location. Although it's possible that he has relocated, because with the Batchat heading south to take out the IS-4, he could have taken advantage of that momentary distraction to reposition. But it is likely that he's still hidden behind one of those bushes up there in the cap circle. Why the Gorilla 15 didn't just take one on the chin and kill Sentinel when he had the chance, I have no idea, but he's now all the way down the other end of the map to the rear. And the Batchat is going for it. He's attempting to spot the 113, making the most of the fact that the Gorilla 15 is nowhere near and not in a position to do anything about it. And he's managed to score a hit, and he's got the kill. Well played to the Batchat. So with the 113 no longer keeping him pinned down behind that building, Sentinel is now free to attempt to get the hell out of here, but he had to be sweating it, expecting that Gorilla 15 to be popping up behind him at any second as he crossed this open ground. And, oh wow, that was unexpected. I'll say this much for the Gorilla 15 player. He's kept me guessing all the way throughout this match. Literally no idea what he's going to be doing or where he's going to be doing it. I find it so frustrating when you've got a player like that Gorilla 15 on the enemy team, particularly when he's the last one alive. Oh crap, he's been spotted again. So he's still up there watching him in the bushes, but he doesn't have the gun depression to guarantee a kill, and doesn't want to give his position away by firing, because the Batchat is going to be watching. So Sentinel keeps going forward, gets himself under the lip of the ridge there, and let's face it, if the Gorilla 15 was still there, he would have proximity detected him by now, but better safe than sorry, get underneath his gun depression. So if he was going to risk taking the shot, he would have had to come out, gotten spotted, and the Batchat would have been able to empty his clip into him. But he's not there, he's fallen back. He would have been proximity spotted if he was still sitting in those bushes. So where's he going to go? Well, Sentinel's driven all the way up here, so he's going to make sure. Coming around the corner, angled as best he possibly can. And no. No, this Gorilla 15 player is just keeping them guessing. So the Batchat has gone to sit in the cap circle. He's starting the capture process going, which is going to force the hand of the Gorilla 15 and make him react to circumstances. But there is not a huge amount of time left, and Sentinel has just come to the conclusion that he should probably be backing him up in the cap circle as well, in case one of them gets hit, or is forced to abandon the cap for any reason. But he's left it awfully late. There are now less than 2 minutes of the game remaining, and they can still win by capping, providing neither of them gets hit, and neither of them are forced to leave the cap circle. The thing is, that Gorilla 15 has proved to be remarkably unpredictable, and Sentinel is betting the farm here that he's going to try to reset the cap from the middle. And that was my guess as well. But there's a big problem here, because there are now less than 1 minute and 40 seconds remaining, and it takes 1 minute and 40 seconds for one tank to cap. But Jingles, there are 2 of them. Yes, but they both have less than 750 health, and that's how much damage the Gorilla 15 does. There he is. Okay, not in the monastery, which is where I expected him to be, but he has forced the Batchat out of the cap circle. Sentinel hits him with the armor piercing, but it was a low damage roll. Far less than the 750 average damage that this gun is capable of. The Batchat managed to get the first shot on him. Sentinel, well angled, takes that one on the tracks. Gun's about to reload, fires into the bush where the Gorilla 15 was, and he did actually hit him. But because the first shot was a low damage roll, it wasn't enough to kill him. Santinal is now furiously angling and moving the tank to avoid dying to the Guerrilla 15's return fire, but the Batchat is the one with the right idea. There is no longer time for even two of them to cap. And so the Batchat is off like a rat up a drain pipe to find and kill that Guerrilla 15 before the remaining 25 seconds run out. And he's found him, but now they're in a bit of a Mexican standoff because they can both one-shot kill each other, and they're both loaded and ready to go. Now that he knows the Guerrilla 15 isn't sitting there waiting to finish him off with a second shot, Santinal can actually, well, he can't really because it's far too late. There are less than 10 seconds of this game remaining. And unless that Guerrilla 15 does something stupid like poke his arse out around the side of the building as the Batchat is desperately trying to get the killing shot off, but he's not that stupid, and this game ends in a draw. Santinal actually blames his own sluggish reactions at the end of the match there for that draw. To be fair, what he probably should have done was to just charge the Guerrilla 15, not worry about whether he was going to get hit or not, because even if he did get hit and taken out, that would mean that the Batchat would be able to catch and kill the Guerrilla 15 while he was reloading. But it's easy to come to that kind of conclusion in the safety of the post-battle results screen. At the time, when you're desperately trying to avoid getting your tank blown out from underneath you, it's a lot more difficult to make that kind of calm, cool and collected decision. And so Santinal ended up with nearly 9,000 damage done in the E100 without expending a single round of premium ammunition, which meant that even without running a premium account, he actually made a profit in a tier 10 battle. And he still couldn't get a win. Sometimes you feel like the only way you're going to get a win when you're playing World of Tanks is if somebody dies and leaves it to you in their will. Anyway, an entertaining and nail-biting match, nevertheless. Santinal, thank you for sending that one in. I hope the rest of you enjoyed it, and as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.